600,240. That is the exact number of recreational vehicles the American industry built in a single year, 2021, and it is the most it has ever built in its entire history. To put that in perspective, it was a 39% jump over the year before, and it shattered the previous all-time record from 2017 by nearly a fifth. On paper, that sounds like a triumph. In reality, it is the fingerprint of a disaster, because those trailers were built by a workforce that physically could not keep up, in a county where unemployment had collapsed to under 1%, meaning there was almost nobody left to hire. And the people who study these things have a name for the trailers that came out of that period. They call them the COVID trailers. There are 3 specific build years where the quality of the American travel trailer didn't just dip, it fell off a cliff. And if you are shopping the used market right now, in 2025 or 2026, you are walking straight into a lot full of them. But here's the twist that the seller is counting on you not knowing. The year printed on the trailer is not the year it was actually built. And that one gap is how a cursed trailer gets sold to you as a good one. Let me show you the 3 years to avoid and exactly how to see through the label. To understand why an entire industry can ruin 3 years of production at once, you have to understand how few companies are really behind it and how they pay the people doing the work. When you walk onto a lot and see a dozen brand names, it feels like real competition. It is not. 3 corporations account for roughly 90% of the entire North American recreational vehicle market: Thor Industries, Forest River, which is owned by Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, and Winnebago, and nearly all of it is built in one place. According to the RV Industry Association's 2024 figures, about 86% of every recreational vehicle made in the United States and Canada comes out of the single state of Indiana, most of it packed into one region around Elkhart County. So when something goes wrong with the labor and the pace in Elkhart, it does not affect one brand. It affects almost all of them at the same time because they are all drawing from the same pool of workers and the same suppliers. And here is the mechanism that turned a demand boom into a quality collapse. Most of the workers on these assembly lines are not paid by the hour. They are paid by the piece. Reuters reported on this years ago, describing a low base wage of around $10 an hour, with bonuses for hitting production targets, and in many plants, once you hit your number for the day, you get to go home. Think about what that incentive does. A former RV worker named Fred Cook explained it perfectly to the Wall Street Journal. He said, and I am quoting him, "The piece rate thing is great, but if you know you'll get out early when you get done, that's where the crap comes from." That is the quiet engine of this entire story. Speed pays, care does not. And now layer the pandemic on top of it. When COVID hit, millions of first-time buyers rushed to buy recreational vehicles as a safe way to travel, and demand exploded overnight. The factories had to build more, faster than they ever had, at the exact moment when, because unemployment in Elkhart had bottomed out at 0.9%, they could barely find anyone to do it. So they ran the existing crews harder, and they hired whoever they could, trained or not. One worker named Tanner McAfee told the Indianapolis Star that during the pandemic he went from building 16 recreational vehicles a day to 36, more than double. On the same kind of trailer you might be looking at used this weekend, and that is what makes the build date, not the model year, the single most important thing you will check before you buy. Let me show you the 3 years where this got the worst. The first cursed year is 2020, the year the ramp began. The industry shipped 430,000 units, and the surge in demand hit before the plants had scaled up their workforce, which meant the crews already on the line simply absorbed the speed up. This was the beginning of the pressure, and it matters more than people realize because of that label problem I keep mentioning. A huge number of trailers wearing a 2021 model year badge were actually built during 2020. The model year gets assigned by the manufacturer and it runs months ahead of the calendar. So the damage of 2020 is hiding inside trailers that do not even say 2020 on them. The second cursed year is 2021, and this is the peak of the entire problem, the eye of the storm. This is the year of that record, 600,240 units, the most RVs ever built in American history. And it happened in the same 12 months that Elkhart County unemployment hit its record low of 0.9%, the tightest labor market in the entire nation. Put those two facts next to each other and you have the perfect recipe for disaster. Maximum volume, minimum available skilled labor, and a pay system that rewards speed over everything. If you could point to one single year and call it the most dangerous build year in modern RVIA history, this is the one. And again, remember, many of these were sold as 2022 models. The third cursed year is 2022, the hangover that was still moving fast. Shipments finally dropped by about 18%, but they were still historically enormous. And early in the year, the lines were still running hot. This is the year the Indianapolis Star published its major investigation into the factories, documenting that brutal pace and the record recalls. It is also the year the U.S. Department of Labor recovered over $1.1 million in unpaid overtime for 710 piece rate workers at a single Elkhart manufacturer called Alliance RV. That is the environment your trailer was built in. And because of the label lag, a lot of these 2022 builds are sitting on lots today wearing a 2023 badge. So the honest, sourced answer to this whole question is that the three cursed years are 2020, 2021, and 2022, and you should be cautious with early 2023 builds too. But the year on the sticker is the thing that actually tells the truth, not the year on the brochure. And here is why that damage is so dangerous. You often cannot see it for years. This is the part that most buyers never understand, and it is why these trailers are so good at hiding what is wrong with them. When a trailer is built too fast, the defects are usually not the kind you can spot on the lot. The failures are buried, a bead of sealant that was rushed along a roof seam, a window that was set a little crooked, a screw driven in the wrong spot. None of that looks like anything on the day you tow it home, but water is patient. Over months and years, it works its way through that rushed seam into the wall, and the layers of the sidewall begin to separate from each other. That is called delamination, and by the time it becomes visible on the outside, the rot behind it has usually been spreading for a long time, and repairing it is brutal. A small section might run a few $100s, but a full sidewall or structural water damage climbs to $10,000, $15,000, even $20,000. Owners have posted repair bills of $18,000 for damage they never saw coming, on a used trailer they thought was a bargain. And the reason this is a build year story and not just a bad luck story is the recall record. The Wall Street Journal, in an investigation published in June of 2025, analyzed federal data and found that from 2015 to 2024, Forest River filed more recalls than any American automaker or RV manufacturer, more than Ford, more than Chrysler, and that nearly half of those recalls came from manufacturing errors, human mistakes on the line, not faulty parts from a supplier. Workers puncturing microwaves with the wrong length screws. A furnace flue installed misaligned, only caught a month later after the inspector who should have found it had already quit. So when you ask why buyers don't know which years to avoid, the answer is simple. The industry has no interest in teaching you to read a build date because the used lot is full of exactly these years right now. So let me make this directly useful because knowing the cursed years is worthless if you cannot spot one in person. The first thing you do before anything else is find the build sticker. Every trailer has a data label that lists the actual date of manufacture, and that date is the truth, not the model year on the paperwork. Read that date first because a trailer badge 2023 might have been built in the summer of 2022, right in the cursed window. If the build date falls in 2020, 2021, or 2022, you do not walk away automatically, but you switch into full detective mode. The next thing to look for is water, because water is what these rushed builds fail at. The interior walls should feel firm everywhere, with no softness in the corners or around the windows and the slides. The exterior walls should be smooth and flat, with no bubbles, waves, or ripples because that rippling is delamination announcing itself. The roof seams and the sealant around every vent and edge should be intact, not cracked or gapping. The floor should feel solid underfoot with no soft spots near the door or the bathroom. You can run the trailer's VIN through the free nhtsa recall database to see what has already been flagged against it. And then, the single most important move of all, whether the trailer is old or nearly new, spend the $700 to $1,500 on a certified independent inspection before you buy. An inspector from the National Association runs a 500-point check with a moisture meter that reads the water hiding inside the walls where a hand pressed against the surface cannot feel it. That inspection can save you $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in hidden repairs. And the single biggest mistake buyers make, the one that burns them over and over, is trusting the shiny model year on the brochure and skipping the one thing that would have told them the truth, the build date on the sticker. But there is one kind of trailer where none of this even applies, and it flips the whole story on its head. Here's the part almost nobody considers. There is a category of trailer where the cursed years barely matter at all because of how it is built. Molded fiberglass trailers, the brands like Casita, Scamp, and Oliver, are not assembled the way the others are. Instead of a wooden frame wrapped in flat panels with dozens of seams and screw holes, they are molded from big fiberglass shells fitted together with almost no seams for water to attack and no wood inside the walls to rot in the first place. As one Casita owner put it, they don't delaminate or leak at the wall seams because there aren't any wall seams, and the durability shows. The president of Scamp said that most of the trailers his company built back in the 1970s are still in use today, still on the road 50 years later, while a rushed stick and panel trailer from 2021 may already be rotting. So the cursed years are really a story about a specific way of building, fast, seamed, and wood-framed, being pushed past its breaking point. A build method that has almost no seams simply does not have the same failure, which means the real question was never just what year it is. It was how it was built, and when, and by a crew moving how fast. So let us go back to that number we started with, 600,240, the most trailers ever built in 1 year, and now you understand that it was not a triumph, it was a warning written in a statistic. Those 3 years, 2020, 2021, and 2022, produced a wave of trailers built too fast, by too few hands under a pay system that rewarded speed over care, and that entire wave is washing onto the used market right now, wearing model year badges that are often a full year newer than the truth. But you are not going to be fooled by the badge anymore, because you know the one thing the seller is hoping you will ignore. So here is the single small action to carry out of this video, the move that makes you smarter than almost everyone else on that lot. Before you fall in love with anything, find the data sticker and read the real build date, not the model year. If it lands in 2020, 2021, or 2022, do not panic and do not necessarily walk, but treat that trailer as guilty until an inspection proves it innocent. Because in this industry, the calendar on the brochure is marketing, and the date on the sticker is the truth. And once you know how to read the difference, you can spot a cursed trailer that everyone else on that lot walks right past. If this changed how you are going to walk onto that lot, subscribe, because there is a whole industry counting on you not knowing this.